Now, for many young South Africans, tertiary education is restricted. It's sometimes seen as expensive or out of reach for those who can't get funding, bursaries or student loans. Crowdfunding is one way that disadvantaged students can get access to higher education. To speak more about this, I'm joined by Leana, the CEO of Feenix. Leana, very good morning to you. Thank you for your time. What exactly does crowdfunding entail?
Good morning, Paul. I'm happy to be here. Crowdfunding is online fundraising. It's the ability to ask people to get involved, give a little bit of money, and slowly raise a lot of money for your education. It's typically used in a small business ecosystem, but we've used the technology to allow students to fundraise for their education online and access a bigger community of people to get involved and support the students' fundraising efforts so that they can go and study in South Africa.
With the unemployment rate, the economic situation of the country, as well as the impact of COVID-19 and many other factors, those are really important factors that have a huge impact to those who want to further their studies. What sort of initiatives are there for students who want to expand their studies? Crowdsurfing being one, but what are the other aspects that can be considered for someone who wants to further their studies?
If you're in grade 12 and you're entering the tertiary education environment, your first option, of course, is a bank loan. Loans are available, but a lot of South African families do not qualify for loans. Secondly, you could try for merit or scholarship. If your marks are really, really high, you can try and get a bursary, which is a great option, although there's always a work payback element to a bursary or a merit scholarship. NSFAS, of course, is most students' option if your household income is below 350,000 a year, which 70% of South African households are. You are able to go to NSFAS and apply for NSFAS funding. And then there's organizations like Feenix, which are helping students that do not qualify for any of those. 50% of our students do not qualify for loans. 46% of our students do not qualify for scholarships. 88% of the students on the Feenix platform do not qualify for NSFAS. So these are students like postgraduate students, students that's studying on historical debt, students that's studying degree types that's not covered by NSFAS, and of course, missing middle students, students that household income is above 350,000, but does not qualify for a loan or bursary scholarship. These kind of students can come onto the Feenix platform and try alternative ways to crowdfund, to ask communities to support their funding so they could go and study further. So we're very much an alternative channel for students who do not qualify for any other funding in South Africa, of which there are many.
And what's the important factor when it comes to crowdfunding? I mean, what sort of role does the community play, whether it be the business sector and other elements of the community makeup?
It's very, very important. It's really about the collective and people coming together. The nice thing about crowdfunding, it's also debt-free. We don't believe that debt is a good way to go for many South African families. So it's a way to get funding without having to repay the funding. It's also a way to channel and bring communities together. We've started as a Fees Must Fall organization, as a response to Fees Must Fall in 2017. And we've been able, alongside communities, corporate and individual funders, to raise 65 million rand since 2017. And with that funding, 1,500 students has been helped. So we do see that it works. And it's really about accessing different communities. You can give as little as 100 rand, and if enough people give 100 rand, all of a sudden you're sitting on 10,000 rand. So it's a way to access alternative funding without burdening government or without burdening a loan system. So we see that it works, and it really it's about community and Ubuntu and bringing people together to solve this crisis, because the crisis is very big in South Africa when we look at affordability.
So just going into the finer details, I mean, you speak about how right now about 1,500 students have already secured funding when it comes to accessing this alternative. How does it then work? Is it a yearly funding procedure that needs to be done? Or does a student, for instance, who wants to study a 3-year degree, know that they secured for the rest of their studies?
What is really important in terms of crowdfunding, it is an online platform. Transparency and accountability becomes important for the funder. So what we do is you have to apply yearly. We work on your yearly goal for the year, which is based on your fee statement. So a student come on board and says, I need to raise 30,000 Rand for 2021. Then funders can look at that and support that 30,000 Rand. That money gets paid over to the university directly. The student doesn't receive that money. So we confirm with the university that that student needs that money. It then gets paid over directly by Feenix to the university, and that debt decreases on the student's fee statement. A student can then the next year reapply with the same profile, update the information, and fundraise again for that same year. We also help students with historical debt, which is a really big issue in South Africa. A lot of people don't know it, but you can complete your degree, and if you're sitting on debt, you can't get your actual degree and enter the workplace. 8% of our students are historical debt students that have already completed their degree. They just need that last bit of funding to get their diploma or their degree. A lot of funders are very eager to help these students because they've proven themselves already. But in order to do that, we need to prove that that student is legit and that that student is sitting on that debt. So we do it on a yearly basis.
Leana, it's a fantastic initiative. And before we let you go, how do people get hold of you? If I'm a student who thinks that this could be an option for me, how do I find you?
You can find us online on all social media platforms. Just Google Feenix.org. But the Feenix is not like the bird rising. Feenix is Feenix. And it's a play on having no fees, mixed fees. So it's Feenix.org, and you can find us across all platforms.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. Leana, the CEO of Feenix, talking to us about the other alternatives. Should you wish to further your studies, historical debt students can also access Feenix to ensure that they too qualify.